Okay, it is 6:30, and as you know, we start on time. Good evening, everybody. It's wonderful to have you here. This is our fourth Zoom in our course of study for our pre-pets program. For those that are new, because we have some new PEs joining us, this program is really to introduce you to the various concepts and help you get reference points and get your, like I said at the very beginning, your little gray cells to work so that you can actually think and start doing some informal planning. When you go to see pets, Chesapeake Pets, that's where they're going to be asking you to do planning. Oh, yes. Yeah, it is. Excuse me. Where they're actually going to start giving you tools. The tools you recognize that we've been introducing you to and will continue to throughout the program. So that way you're not going into Chesapeake Pets cold. That's the worst thing you can possibly do because you'll feel like you're drinking from a fire hydrant otherwise, all right? First thing, and then I'm going to hand it off to Deborah, who's just going to kind of update you on a couple of things. I want to apologize. I am behind on posting. Yes, DGEs have a life too, and a business project got in the way. So I will get back to that this week, and you will have all the materials posted from the last Zoom meeting that we had. Without further ado, may I introduce Dr. Deborah Jackson. And Deborah, you want to update them real quick on what they can anticipate coming out this week. Deborah, you're muted. That's the survey.
Correct. This week you should receive, first of all, let me say good evening to everyone and welcome to those new PEs who have not been here with us throughout our time together. But in an interest of you all and ensuring that you leave this program, DGE Pat has, Elect Pratt, yes, has already indicated that when you leave us, you should be prepared and ready to meet the challenge of the presidency. And we're so delighted that that is going to happen. But we also want to make sure, that we check in with you to ensure that you're feeling good about where you are, you're feeling good about your learning. Are there things that you still would like to know in regards to your own, building your own capacity to move forward? We want you to have the best experience possible as a club president, because this is about you. This will be about your year. This will be about you guiding your clubs to do some phenomenal things, which we know will happen. So we just want to check in. This is our check-in with you. How are you doing? How can we continue to support you in terms of your own learning so that when you hit the ground running at CPETs, because you're going to be ahead of everyone else, so you're going to feel real good about what has happened here. But we just want to check in with you to make sure that you're moving along and you're happy, you're engaged, and if we can continue working with you, tell us how we can best support your learning. So thanks, and we look forward to that rolling out sometime later this week. Thanks. Be honest. Think it through. Be honest, because that's how you grow, is to give us the feedback that we need. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Deborah, because remember, we're the great experiment for this district. So by sharing back and forth and seeing how we can make improvements and where we've done a really good job and what more you're interested in getting accomplished is going to help the people that are coming in behind you, which will help your club as well. Well, today is about membership, and I can't think of anybody better to have than our Media Pass District Governor, Jonathan Lucas. I am going to let Jonathan tell you about his Rotary story, because as far as I'm concerned, his Rotary story is all about membership. And it's also about the Rotary spirit that identifies a need and decides we're going to resolve that. We're going to solve it. We're going to make it better. And that's really what Jonathan is about. He holds a master in public administration from the University of North Carolina at Greensboro and an executive master's in global leadership at Georgetown University. He is starting his PhD program at USC. He is, as I said, the past president. He is our district membership chair, and he is the Zone 33 Innovative Club chair, coordinator for our district. He is a great friend. I have enjoyed working with him, and I learn from him every day. And without further ado, take it away, Mr. Lucas.
Thank you, District Governor-elect. I'm glad to be here with you guys. And she didn't think too hard, because if she did, she could have found somebody probably more knowledgeable than I. But I'm glad to be here with you guys this evening and share a few things that I've learned this year, not only as your membership chair, but also as in the zone capacity, which has been a great opportunity for me to learn from other districts and what they're doing and how they're growing. And I want to pass that information on to you. I will say I really love being here tonight, because I'm seeing some people I haven't seen in a long time. I see Diane Hill is on the line, and Ed Hogue, good to see you. It's been probably a full year since I've seen you anywhere. See Andrew Wade. My goodness, I'm seeing all kinds of people that I haven't ran across in quite a long time. Bruce Tinker, he's here as a fellow Alexandrian. Good to see you, Bruce. And to some of these new presidents, I'm glad to see some new faces in here as well. Exciting stuff. So tonight, I just want to have, keep it very informal, have a conversation. I've got a few slides I'm going to share with you guys right now. We're going to get through those rather quickly. And I've got a couple of things I'm going to pull up on the screen that you're going to get as handouts that hopefully will be useful to you as you think about growing your club and finding new ways to bring members in. And we just want to have a general conversation. But the goal is to have some not only tacit knowledge, but have some ability to go out and actually execute some things. Because, well, membership's hard. And in North America, we're not doing so great. And we've got to find new, innovative ways to tackle this, bring people into Rotary who have not been brought in, but more importantly, keep them in once we get there. So I'm going to share my screen now. And hopefully I can pull up the right thing here. I'm not sure why it's paused. Okay. One second, I got to pull this up first. For some reason, I can't see my own slides. Let me do this.
While Jonathan is doing that, let me tell you, if you have questions at all while he is speaking, please feel free to put questions in the chat box. And if you can do them in all caps, they'll stand out for us. So we want to make sure we don't miss any. Thank you.
Renee, you want to remind the group with your message too? Please, is she, Renee? Okay. I don't know if she's.
Sorry, I'm here. Apologies. What did you need from me? Oh, there's Jonathan.
Can you see my screen, guys?
No, not yet.
It's weird. It's like going off to the side for some reason. Let me see if I can figure out what's going on here.
Renee, you have an announcement for the group?
I didn't know I had an announcement for the group.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, if people make sure, even though I realize that you may be on the list for the automatic
Oh, I'm
chat
sorry.
thing, just make sure that you register your name, your club affiliation, and your position, because not everybody is a president-elect, which is fine, because this is open to everybody. But we want to be able to capture you and see where you are in your Rotary journey.
right.
Well,
Also, and while Jonathan is preparing his slides, I don't know if we mentioned to people how to get the full effect of the speaker by just going up to the right and putting on speaker view, and then you'll have full effect of Jonathan presenting to you as opposed to the gallery view. I seem to enjoy that better so that I can focus on the speaker. So if people would like to do that while he's kind of getting ready, just go up to the little box that says view in your top right corner, and you want to go with speaker view, and whoever's talking will pop up on your screen as opposed to the gallery view. I know you love seeing everybody, but if you just want the full effect of the speaker, that's one way to do it.
right, and and that'll also show you a larger size of the slides that he's going to be sharing with us. Again, while Jonathan is doing that, let me go ahead and just remind everybody, something else that the PEs only will receive is the reminder and the instructions of how to register for Chesapeake Pets. It is March 5th and 6th. For this year, it is virtual. And for this year only, it is free. We had hoped that we would be able to accommodate more people than just the PEs, but the system that Chesapeake has for the breakout rooms is limited to 20 people each. And with 4 districts meeting all together, that's what's comprised of Chesapeake's Pets. Those rooms get crowded. So I do want the PEs, and we'll get you those instructions and reminder, and there will be periodic reminders because Rotary does. There it is, Jonathan, I see it.
Yeah, good. So sorry about that, guys.
Nope, that's fine. Let's go. Everybody to speaker view.
So I'm trying to figure out how to get this bigger really quickly. So I'm pulling it off Google Docs. Anyway, let's roll with it. Can you all see this fairly decently?
Yes.
Very small. Yeah.
Small.
I will.
I mean, I don't know. I can make this bigger.
There it is. There it is.
That's too big now. Let me go to 100%. Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
Sorry about the technical difficulties. So I want to talk about membership, and as the title says, nothing else matters. So why is that? Well, primarily because membership is the foundation which everything else that we do in Rotary is built upon, whether it's service projects, fundraising, supporting the Rotary Foundation. We've got to have people in there to do all those things. And so I want to start with some bad news and then end with some good news, like some of those gospel preachers I used to grow up listening to. So some of the bad news, some of the neutral news, I guess I'll start out with, is Business Development 101, right? So remember the rule 1031. And this is, if you look across the data across North America, across Rotary, probably anywhere in the world, we've come to realize it takes about 10 names to get 10 names on the list of people that you're going to refer, hopefully bring in as potential members, to get 3 of those people to attend a meeting. So you lose 70% from the 10 people that may have shown interest or you think may have interest. And out of those 3, 1 person actually will join your club. So with that as a fact out there, it's important that we are able to get out into our communities and talk to this as many people as possible, because it's a funnel, and getting down to people who will be good members, who you think will participate, but also people that come to your club and want to be part of that culture in the work that you do. You're going to find very few generally. Attrition is real. So here's some of the zone stats. The 5-year annual termination rate for Zone 33 clubs, so that's about 17 districts and a multitude of 50 plus clubs in each district, is 14% annually. So every year we're going to lose a percentage of people. So we've got to make up that. So there's 2 ways to make up that: reduce attrition, bring in new people. This is the biggest issue that we're facing in Rotary in North America. Most attrition casualties have been members that are somewhere between 1, 2, and 3 years, and majority are less than a year. They come in our doors and they go right back out. For our district, if you look at the data across last year, most the attrition that we saw were people within 2 years, a year and a half of Rotary experience in our district who left. So we got to start thinking, why is that? Is it a cultural thing? Is it a time thing? Is it members not getting out of it what they expected to get out of it? So is it an expectations thing? Is it a combination? And so we've got to really understand what's the motivator behind each and every member that we bring in. So let's look. I know this is small, but if you look at the dotted line, all these lines represent different zones within North America. They're all below the marginal line. Our zone is the red dotted line. It's actually one of the worst in North America. So our zone comprises of clubs in Pennsylvania, Virginia, North and South Carolina. And so we're not doing too good as a zone. We're losing members. So let's look at it. Let's focus in a little bit to just our zone, what we've been doing. And the dates at the beginning of the trend line is, if I can even read it, 7/14/20. So this is the beginning of the year, Rotary year, all the way down to present time. And you can see we started out in the zone as a positive net gain, and we've decreased about almost 1,000 members already this year. 1,000 members across 17 districts. That's quite a large number of people that are leaving Rotary. Now let's focus down even more. So this is our particular district here in Northern Virginia. We are lucky, and this was taken at a point in time right at the beginning of January. So we realized we lose people at the end of December and we lose people at the end of June. We are now back up in the positive range by a handful, maybe +7, +5, somewhere in that range as of today. But we are only one of 2 districts out of the 17 in our zone that are positive in membership growth. The other is 7620, which is our northern neighbor of DC and Maryland. They are the best district by far in our zone and maybe in North America when it comes to member gain. Well, not North America, but at least on the East Coast comes to member gain. And why is that? So what are we doing pretty well? What is 7620 doing really well? And what are the other districts in our zone and are not doing so well? And so we're going to get into that. First and foremost, it's tailored engagement. So this sort of is a continuum of sort of representation. Without innovative club models, people come in and they go right back out. Why? We're not meeting their expectation. Most people come in to a Rotary Club because they're interested in the service that the clubs are doing. They're interested in the social aspect. They're interested in community involvement. They're interested in maybe some leadership opportunities. They're interested in connecting maybe B2B, business to business. And each person has a different story. So we must figure out what that person's story is and help them get to a place where they can be successful in Rotary. And that might mean that they have to go to a Rotary Club that maybe functions different than the club that they originally joined. Because what they're looking for might not be what a particular club has, or we're going to talk about in a minute, how we can develop new clubs with using the satellite structure to fulfill people's needs, make sure we're acquiring members that maybe can't meet at the lunchtime on Thursdays, but can meet in the evening on Thursdays, right? So we need to be flexible in our approach, be nimble. So let's look at some types of innovative models. And I really like this. I stole these two slides from 7700, District 7700, and they got some really cool, innovative people on their district level. But they came up with this empowerment of individual to sustain the collective. And I thought that was a very poignant way of stating this. If we're able to empower every individual that comes in our doors, participates in our clubs, to do what they want to do, to feel like they've accomplished something, that they're a part of something that matters to them, then we're going to be self-sustaining. We're going to keep our membership high. We're going to bring new people in, and we're going to be able to go out and serve in the community in the ways in which we aspire to do so. And so what's really catching on throughout our zone, but throughout North America and the world, are satellite clubs. Why? My theory is, I mean, look, I'm somebody who started a club in West Alexandria back in 2014. It's been a tough go. Our membership ebbs and flows, and here I am, the membership chair. And some years we gain a bunch of members, some years we lose some, and we sort of we grow and then we atrophy, and we grow and we atrophy. But part of it is really hard when you're a new club to go out there and get everything done you need to do done to get accomplished. Have a full board, have projects that are set, have a fundraiser, build a fundraiser. You're doing all of that from scratch generally. Whereas if you're a satellite club, you get a lot of support from that major club, and then you're not under the Rotary restrictions of having to get 20. I mean, when I did it, Rotary had a 20 member minimum before you could charter, and our district said 27. So you're spending all your time just to try to find people to get to the charter point who may not be interested in Rotary or understand Rotary at the level they need to stay in it. So the satellite club allows for smaller, up to 8 members, to get going, and you can build out over time, and you always have the choice to charter and become a separate club down the road. And so this is what we're focusing on as a district strategy this year. And I hope each club that is considering doing something to consider this as a possibility. So a satellite club meets at a time separate from the sponsor Rotary Club. And one thing we talk about is being passion-based. So that means coming up with clubs that are not based on geography necessarily, but based on a shared value, a shared something you may like. It could be anything from riding bicycles to wanting to do something with education. It could be numerous things, but where we're linking people together, have common interests and goals, and that's important. There's also the e-club model. We have a new e-club this year, Peace Builders e-club, and this is a standalone club. It's great for people with hectic schedules. They can meet in the evenings. They can diversify their meeting times. They can do it during their lunch break. And of course, now we're all doing this via the internet. But one day when we get back to in-person meetings, this club will have to change its schedule. It'll be still, operating as they were. That's the flexibility. And anybody who starts a business, and I just launched one a week ago, technically, realize being nimble and flexible are key to success. You've got to understand your environment and adapt to it. And you can't just do that once every year or once every 6 months. You've got to do that continually. It's a continual process. And so creating models for our clubs that are enabling themselves to do that is important. So a little bit more about how we bring people into the Rotary world and types of clubs. So cause-based, or we call niche clubs, family clubs. Maybe for younger folks who have kids, if you get a couple of those families together, they understand time management. You understand what each other are going through, and there's not this feeling guilty because you can't make a meeting because your son or daughter has something that they need your help with. Assisted living facility. My club meets at Brandywine here in Alexandria. just found out that their folks are getting their COVID shots. And in the spring, we've been invited back to participate in our meetings there at their location. And guess what? We have 2 of their staff members are joining our club next month. And we've got several assisted living people who are living in this assisted living facility who want to join our club as well. So it was a way for us to finally utilize that space, not only as for our meetings, but for bringing more people into Rotary. Healthcare, teachers, veterans, clubs are based strictly on service. We have a new member in my club that was brought in last, maybe she's been 2 months now. She really, really focused on service. You know, it's not about the meetings, and she'll go to the meetings, but you know, some people just want to come in and feel like they're doing good for their communities. And you can create clubs that focus on that versus speakers and meetings. So Rotary's allowed us the flexibility to do what we need to do as clubs to be successful. We need to grab on with that with both hands and do it. Growth model continuum. So this is just something that I think is important as we move people through the process of developing models of club growth. And again, if you may remember my year last year as governor with a focus on diversity, and this year is Harry, and we got DGND, Renee Laws with us, and she oversees our diversity work. This is hugely important. Focus on demographics, bring people into Rotary who we're not touching right now from different backgrounds. That should be a key goal for every club. That paired with focusing on unique professional profiles, which has been a standard bearer for Rotary since its beginning, but we sort of lost track of that sometimes. But getting people with different profiles into Rotary, diverse backgrounds, what we're going to see is they're going to have a greater impact on Rotary, and they're going to bring these unique experiences that they have to our club, and our club's going to have unique experiences that we've not had before. And that's called growth. And if we're able to do that, we're going to grow as clubs intellectually, culturally, but also in our impact and our mission. And so these things have to be focused on. It's not just words on a paper. It's actions that have to be followed up on. You've got to get there and talk to groups you may not have talked to before. You've got to find out what their interests are, how Rotary can help them, not so much how we can help, they can help us as new members, but how can we impact their interest in their lives. So that's it for this part of it. I'm going to shut up for a second, get this back off share mode, and open it up. If anybody has any questions or thoughts thus far, love to hear
Andrew
them.
has one, I know.
I was going to say one thing, just in the last like 24 hours, the E-Club, you know, the one that Tintin started, and by the way, she's got COVID and so does Belial, and they've lost at least one family member in the past, like they're not doing well at all right now.
Yeah.
But having said that, there's a guy, Walter Ruby, in that club, again, an E-Club, and I've been on several Zoom calls, and you know, I don't know if it's going to come to fruition or not, but it's getting it's for Israel getting the COVID testing in the West Bank and Gaza, and it's just and being on these conference calls with the Israelis. So anyways, this is kind of interesting. So you all may be getting some calls to participate in that, but I bring that up for 2 reasons. One, that's the E-Club doing something really important that maybe a couple of these clubs could get involved in, number one. Number two, we've got a lady in our club just joined a year ago, and she kind of comes to every third meeting, kind of hanging on by a thread. And I called her yesterday just to kind of, because I'm doing this touch base thing before I become president. And you know, I told her about this, you know, well, I found out she's from Jordan and very familiar with the checkpoints over there. And she just like was in hook, line, and sinker, like ready to make phone calls on behalf of this grant, potential grant. So anyway, I'm just saying, you just never know like what kind of connections this stuff will bring. So I think it's, you know, it's important about the work itself that could draw, in this case, it may keep a member. That's all.
Mhm.
Very great point, Andrew. And you're right. You never know when there's some sort of commonality that comes to fruition, and it's important that we sort of stay present about that and understand that. Got 2 other questions I see popped up on the chat.
Yes.
Somebody's asking the impact of the pandemic on these numbers. It's hard to say. I mean, obviously it has. Our district, we've been really lucky, and impact. We have not seen impact maybe as badly as other districts have. I've been sort of isolated from that, but obviously it's been sort of a mixed bag. One, this ability to use Zoom for your meetings. Some of our clubs have actually brought in members who don't come regularly to the regular meetings, so it's a way for people to get there who had more conflicts with their schedules. So that's been a blessing. The curse has been, I guess there's been people who it's easy just, not to go to the meeting. So, but for most clubs in our district, I can say I can't speak for the whole zone or North America, but our district has not been impacted so badly by COVID at all. But it's something we got to keep our eye on. Another question is, how do these types of clubs pay dues? And the answer is yes. Most models, they have a reduced due fee to just get people in the door. You don't have necessarily the need for having a big dinner or paying for a space. So most clubs pay, of course, their district. The dues comprise of district dues, RI dues, and maybe a small amount of money to support that particular club. But most models I've seen has reduced that price to give a person a really good entry point into Rotary. And down the road, you can always adjust dues as the club grows. But there's a lot of ways to reduce your cost. Have members pay lower dues and then have them participate in the fundraiser monetarily as well down the road. So it's not about getting all this money up front from people. It's about giving them an experience. The analogy I like to use is, with Apple and the idea of them not selling a phone, they're selling an experience. And I think that's something we've got to sort of model ourselves after. It's not about selling them an opportunity to come to a Rotary meeting. It's about selling the experience of what Rotary can be, how it can impact their life. Sell them that and the money will come. I promise you.
Jonathan, one other thing, in terms of the conferencing, Zooming, clubs really need to consider how do they mix Zoom meetings with regular in-person meetings, because people are gonna want both.
Absolutely. And I think it's important. Look, we've all lived it in our work lives now and our Rotary lives over the last 13 months, 12 months. All this has become integrated. And I think it's important. I think most clubs would be mistaken if they didn't include Zoom as an option for people for every meeting. When you do go back in person, there's great ways to set it up now where, it can be participatory. It can at least be a video feed that people can sit in on the meetings that can't be there. I see my president, Bill Berry, is with us tonight. And one of the things that he is developing, which is quite interesting, I think, and we're probably going to implement, is taping our meetings and putting them on YouTube. And so if we have members who can't be there live, either by a feed or even when we get back to normalcy and meet regularly, they can go to that meeting on the YouTube channel and catch up on everything that they missed and still feel like they're part of the club. And so, again, that's part of the innovation piece that we all need to embrace and take into account.
Jonathan, are you saying that satellite members, the satellite itself is an arm of the main club? And if our club is paying $300 a quarter which covers lunches and all our dues, the satellite can be less than that. They can pay a different dues rate, and because they're not having a lunch with us, so I know about the meals there, but I had never considered that before. That's quite interesting. Yeah,
generally, most, in Fredericksburg, not the Fredericksburg Club, but the Fredericksburg Rappahannock has a, try to spit it out here in a second. Fredericksburg Rappahannock has a club that meets on a Friday evening, I think they meet, and they meet downtown Fredericksburg versus where the regular club meets, right? So they have a whole different due structure. They have their own board. They have their due structure. They have their own projects. And then, they can help with the parent club projects too and participate that way. But they're not going to have to pay the same due structure because they're not meeting at the same place at the same time.
Okay, Nick, go ahead.
I was just going to say, this is Danielle Kennedy from the Rappahannock Satellite Club. We chose to do a couple things differently that really suited us, that suited the membership and tends to suit the folks that join us, or maybe even decide instead of leaving the mother club, they may decide to transition over to the satellite club. And so we don't lose a member, collectively, we don't lose that member. But we meet, for example, our differences are definitely the lower due structure. We meet once a month instead, and we have our hands-on project that everyone agrees that they will participate in as a member of the satellite club. We have one service project a month. We still maintain our speakers, and it works great. It works great for us, and we still do participate as our passions drive us in the mother club projects, as well as DG Jonathan has stated.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Danielle.
And we meet in the evening, by the way, too, because that works for a lot of our younger members a little bit more than the early.
Terrific.
Hey there, this is Tony with the Arlington Rotary Club. And I just wanted to note that our club has noticed that there has been increased attendance from the Zoom platform. However, the people who are coming are oftentimes different than those who would be coming to in-person meetings. So what we're planning to do is develop a hybrid model where we've got, say, 3 meetings a month in person, but then maybe 1 Zoom meeting option.
Oh, good.
Because it opens up to us for a broader range of potential speakers. So we're definitely going to try and incorporate Zoom meetings into our future meeting structure. I think that's just a great way to keep a diverse group of people coming in and keep those 2 groups continually engaged.
Thank you, Tony. That's a very great example. And I think that's spot on. So it's not about neglecting your current members' needs. It's about sort of finding ways to embrace different models within that to serve as many people as possible. So thank you. Bob, you had a comment, question? You're on mute, Bob.
A number of people know that we've had a second venue. It's sort of a introduction to a satellite club some years ago, where they meet on a different basis, and they do sort of they have their own rate structure, and they meet at Nova. They're all university professors, and we have joint service projects between that part of our club and our club. I'm in the process of trying to develop a satellite club out of a group of wood turners. I sent out a thing a couple of days ago, and I got a short response from a few of the wood turners that they're interested in it. So there's a group that we actually meet every week. The wood turners virtually, and have been doing that even with prior to COVID. And I think we can form a group that's interested in doing joint service kind of projects. So we'll work on that.
Thank you, Bob. And I knew about this example because Bob and I talk routinely, and it's just another way of connecting. And the wood turners is kind of interesting. Now Bob has a chance to decide, at some point, how many of those people maybe want to be future Rotarians. Yeah. So it's a way to sort of introduce more people to our club. And one thing I am doing currently, my company is starting the next couple of days, this month, or starting a Toastmasters group. And Toastmasters came this week and spoke to us and talked about the benefits. So I jumped on, of course, I was on there, and the last thing, they're asking question and answer time. I was like, can you tell us more about this joint partnership between Rotary International and Toastmasters International? And I was sort of the jerk because I kind of put them on the spot and they weren't real, I mean, they were familiar that there was some talking going on, but it was a way for me to introduce Rotary to those people. And with my goal is to create sort of this joint club of Toastmasters / Rotarians. And we've got 20 people interested in at least the Toastmaster side. So now I've got to sell them to be Rotarians too. But again, it's about innovation and figuring out ways to connect the dots, maybe differently than we have in the past.
Just a short comment on your presentation. You said to show that the clubs, that there was a difference between a satellite club and an E club. In fact, you can merge those two concepts.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's anything's possible. We can create Frankenstein's monster. The most important part, you know, you want to get too crazy out there doing too, but like whatever makes sense, right? And so you sort of have to understand your community, where the need is, what people are looking for, and it may be a satellite club that meets as an E club. That's great. That's fine. But there's multitudes of way of doing it. And the point being, let's get people involved who we can't get in the doors right now because of time constraints or different interests or whatever the issue may be.
Hey, can I
Okay.
get a quick comment in? This is Sri.
Yes, sir.
Hi. So I'm sorry, my camera isn't on because I have my computer on and my phone on. So in the mishmash, I've called in. But anyway, I'm Sri Amudanar. You can see me on the list there, and I'm president-elect here for Ashburn. Just wanted to share some ideas and a little bit of our experience. So not to scare anybody from the Satellite Club thing, but last year we decided to do the Satellite Club thing, and we brought in the Dallas Rotary Club, which was almost, going out of action. And many of our members decided that they'd rather have an independent club. So we lost close to 50% of our membership, and we have 2 full distinct Rotary clubs chartered. So it's good in some ways. In the other ways, we lost a lot of really effective members. The other thing I wanted to point out was, just like we decide to join with satellite clubs and increase our effectiveness, with the E-Club concept, there's nothing wrong for us to join other Rotary clubs and invite them to participate in our club meetings, because there may be programs that we do that interest others. And those days of physically having to go somewhere is gone. So you don't have to be just present in one club or the other, because, in the old days, you couldn't actually attend 3 club meetings in a week because physically you had to go there. But with Zoom and things like that, it may be possible for a bigger group to work cohesively and not necessarily be stuck to its physical boundaries of the club membership. I just wanted to throw that idea in there. Anyway, I hope to try a lot of different things, after June, because as you all know, we're all suffering for membership.
Thank you, sir. Very good point on both accounts. And I would say, the first thing is you brought a very important piece. Some clubs are very reticent to try it, satellite club, because they are afraid maybe they'll lose members over to that satellite club, and it could happen. But I would challenge you to look at this thing as a glass half full instead of half empty, and saying you're keeping members who may have otherwise were thinking about quitting because of whatever the reason may be. And so giving somebody a second option gives somebody else an additional reason to stay in Rotary. And so you have to think about that. I mean, it's an organization. You got to figure out how best to run it. But
no arguments there. I'm very glad that we have 2 clubs instead of 1 club. So
Yeah.
definitely, it's for me, it's full glass. Thanks.
Yeah, but you bring up a very valid point. So I just wanted to acknowledge that. So I'm just going to show you. I've got a couple of handouts you're all going to get at the end of at the, later tonight or whenever Pat's able to get them out this week. But I'm going to show you one or two just so you have an idea of what information you're going to get to help you create whatever new club experience you want to create. So let me share my screen again and open this one up.
While you're doing that, can you talk a little bit about the satellite members themselves? They're still full-blown Rotarian members and attached to the mother club. There's a lot of chatter in the chat box about the satellite members themselves. I mean, can they belong to two different clubs? And so
Yeah, so satellite club members are a member of your, so if you can go on DocDB, those satellite club members are contained within the club count for your home club. So that doesn't change, right? They're still within that organization. Just think of it as a franchise model where, it's a Subway. And I own two Subways. I just happen to have two Subways on two different streets, but it's still one business. And that's how this operates. They still have to follow the rules and the guidelines and the charter. I'm not the charter, excuse me, but the bylaws. But they have the opportunity to sort of have a little bit of freedom to be their own culture and do the projects that are interested in them. And you can define it however you wish. There's no one particular best way of deciding how it works. This is, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but this is a brochure you're going to get. And I did not come up with the fuchsia color here, but this will give you a bunch of information that you can hand out and share with people about how to start a satellite club, answers the question, what is Rotary and what are satellite clubs, and gives you an idea of how they work within the context of a Rotary club. So you're getting this. Try to share with you one more doc that I think is really good. Some of the stuff I borrowed from different Rotary districts. This one, let's see if I can go back to share this. When it clicks, can people see this one too?
yes.
Okay, this is from 7710, which is a district here in Central Virginia, right below us. And this is a really great thing you're all going to get. Follow your passion, create a lasting change. And what this does is show what they're doing in their district. They've got a club based on veterans issues, and they have this really great contact of how you can get in contact with the folks in that club when it meets. Environmental sustainability, Rotary Club of All Nations, Social Justice Club. And what's really cool about that, this is something the district is putting out about all these different clubs that are forming, and it makes the district look really progressive, like they're doing some great things, that they're focused on some social issues, they're focused on interest, and that this is a purposeful growth model for them. And so I would love to have that same opportunity for our district to do that as well. Let me pull back. You're also going to get a document on how to create a successful membership event, and some other things, some tools that you can have as you move forward. What I'd like to do is sort of get an idea of people who are interested in this, because as my job as zone innovation chair for our district, I have to report back and work with Zone 33, the goal of increasing membership through innovative models. And so my job is to work with you. I'm here. I have not done very many club presentations on membership this year, so please utilize me. If you want me to come speak, talk to your current president, you want me to come speak, I'm more than welcome to do that. You're more welcome to invite me. I'm more than happy to do that. I would love to work with a group of people coming in this group, the presidents that are coming in June, to help you all develop these models and be successful with them. Use me while I'm here. Yes, I have a job. Yes, I have 2 kids. Yes, I have a PhD program, but I'm also a Rotarian. And so let me be a Rotarian and use me. Don't feel bad about calling or emailing me. You have my contact information in the materials. Do it. I'm only helpful if you use me. Otherwise, I'm sitting on the shelf collecting dust.
So if a club wants to start a satellite club, gets 8 members, is there a form to fill out to notify the district or somebody that in fact that club is now, that we've now formed the satellite club?
Yeah, there's not a particular form, but they should contact me and the district governor saying that they are forming a satellite club, and it's good for me to know the number of members they have, just so we can see how it's working. And then, you know, it's really up to the club. You can come up with a creative name. You can do it however you choose it. But we need to sort of know that so we can sort of keep track of what's working in our district, so we can, you know, help share that with other clubs.
But it falls under in DAC as part of the membership of the ownership club.
Yeah.
And there's no special DAC designation as a separate satellite club.
No, when we first started doing this, there was for a hot minute, and it got real confusing because then it was hard to
Roll them up.
We couldn't, you know, because the names might be slightly different.
Yeah.
We couldn't figure out who was where. So how it works is in DocDB, any satellite club, those members are represented in your total membership list.
Mhm.
And but you'll know, you'll obviously as a club keep it separate. You'll know who's in which.
So it's all upon the club
domain.
Basically, it's a sub asset. It's a club asset.
Yeah, that's a great way of stating it.
Jonathan, I think another point too is, and you've talked about this before, a club really needs to first understand where its members are at, if you will, and what is it that we all identify in our club, and whether you're what Andrew was talking about earlier, visiting with every single one of his members as a president-elect to ask questions to identify where everybody is, whether, and it's not just for the purpose of doing a satellite club, it's definitely for the purpose of keeping your club vibrant, and then that can lead to additional innovative programs.
Absolutely, and nobody's saying that everybody has to do a satellite club, but it all comes down to whether it's a satellite club, an e-club, just growing your membership in your main club, is to understand your membership. Understand this, and it takes work. I mean, none of this stuff is easy. If it was easy, nobody would be doing it, right? So let's get past the fact that it's not easy, it's not efficient, but it's important. And what's important is understand what are driving people to your club. And then when they're not coming, why are they not coming? Generally, it's a value add, right? So we all have to make choices every day. What we're going to do, what meeting we're attending, what TV show we're going to watch. I'll tell you, I watched the Chiefs game on the weekend because I felt like there's going to be a lot of excitement there, and that was a value add to me. I didn't watch some of the other games because I just didn't care as much about it. We have to understand people have to make choices every day, and so why are they making choice of Rotary? And that's an individual decision, and it's based on something that you're giving them as a value add to their life. And if you don't know what that is, you can't replicate it for future members.
And on that point, Jonathan, you want to talk about cause-based clubs, both in terms of potentially being a satellite or an independent club?
Yeah, so I think you can, so two things. You can have a cause-based club that's a brand new club that gets chartered, but again, I think it's, look, nobody's born and begins to walk day one. You roll, you crawl, and then you walk. And my personal belief, and based on what I've seen, what is working in the United States right now is these satellite clubs where they're getting that support from the parent club to get going, to help them with the fundamentals of Rotary, get through the process, and then eventually we've had one in our district that then stepped aside and became its own club when it grew up. But the point being is they need support, and when you have a cause-based club or you have an interest-based club, you're bringing people in. It's a multifaceted approach, right? You're not just selling them on the idea of Rotary. Come see a great speaker. Come be a part of a community organization. Now you've got a third thing to offer them. education or whatever it may, the cause may be, clean water projects. I talked to a woman who the other day who has a nonprofit supporting South Sudanese women, both here in the States and in South Sudan. I used to do work for that same population back, a few years ago. So we talked about that. And that became a driver of her wanting to come to my Rotary meeting, because I said, Rotary does international projects. There's no reason we can't in the future do a project for South Sudanese women. I found out what her passion was and connected to what we could do in Rotary. And I think that's important. Go ahead, Renee.
Is I think that some other of the PEs are looking for. We had a question about they're saying that it's not likely they'll ever have a satellite or any kind of e-club in their area because of their location, their availability of internet, etc. And so they just want some simple solutions for the membership of the club they have. And I know that you have those solutions as well. Is there a couple that you could share tonight that might just give them a little glimmer?
Yeah, I mean, I think, well, one thing, again, even if a satellite club is not in your future, you can diversify how you have your meetings. Have a speaker one time a month, have a social or have a meeting in a different location one time a month on a different time, maybe. You've got to find ways to be, even if you're not going to do a satellite, still be nimble, to still figure out how to meet people's needs. And the main thing is engagement. When people come through the door, put them to work. Our newest member, the first thing I did, she's an accountant. First thing I did was help her said, hey, I need help with the fundraiser. She didn't know anything about Rotary. I didn't care. But I knew she was passionate to do something. And so she helped us with the fundraiser. And now she's hooked because she feels a part of the organization. She feels like she's done something, accomplished something right away. It's just saying, well, now you spend the first year learning and then we'll put you on a project or give you a position. People don't want to wait that long. They want to make a difference. They want to feel connected. And that's the main thing. You want to keep and bring in new members, give them something to do, give them something they can brag about, something they can share on Facebook. And then that's going to pique other people's interest. And you understand what your club is. If you're a large club, you have to explain really clearly explain what makes your club advantageous. Networking, great speakers, big impact on community. If you're a small club, it's about intimacy, family oriented, doers, we're out in the community a lot. Figure out what your strategic advantage is. And that's what you got to explain to your community. And each one of us has a different one.
Question. How do you feel about doing surveys of the membership?
I think it's hugely important. And I think if you don't do one at least annually, if not more, how are you ever going to get feedback?
Well,
you're in a vacuum otherwise.
I am currently in the process of doing a survey for our club, the Alexandria Central Rotary Club. May I share the results with you, and perhaps we can discuss what we learned from that, because we are currently having a bit of problem with getting our members to attend our Zoom meetings.
Absolutely. And I would love that. I think it's a great idea. And I think that's an important step. And I'm telling you, somebody who's, and I'm not just saying this, I'm studying this on a PhD level, but culture is everything. And understanding your culture will, and being able to figure out if you need to make changes to that and how you do that is fundamentally how you become successful.
Jonathan, and just a note too on the surveys, Rotary has a number of examples of member surveys, because one of the issues, to Jonathan's point, is you've got to ask the right questions. The questions that will give you what the member is thinking and things that you can move forward on. And nothing has to be done overnight and all wants are not going to be met in 1 year. So you put a rolling 3-year plan together to do that.
Patricia, where can we find those surveys? Because we were actually just talking about putting out a survey.
Okay, we'll make sure that we identify some of those and get those to you.
Great, thank you.
And oh, you weren't there, right? So I was just gonna say, Tony shared a survey that he was doing, and Andrew shared his. And it was my fault I didn't get that posted for you, but we'll have several examples that you can be.
And we can share it with everyone, right?
Right.
Thank you so much.
And I would be willing, for many, many years, I conducted surveys for the Department of the Army. So I would be very
cool.
happy to share my surveys.
Cool.
Yeah, on our end, we just put out a survey and we got great response. 25 members filled it out. And, we're now going through and looking at those results and specifically looking at like the committees that people expressed interest in and inviting those folks to either be chair or on that committee that they are specifically interested in. So rather than say me being like, oh, I need a treasurer, do you want to do it? Now I can now look at this list of interest, find the exact person who is interested in that type of service, and then invite them to either be on that committee or be the chair. And that's a far more effective way than just trying to like pawn off work on specific people.
Yeah.
Does everybody want to continue the conversation? I am, because we're glad to do that. Because I do want to be respectful of your time. We're a little 2 minutes over, but if everybody is interested in continuing this, well, not everybody, anybody who is, let me put it that way, anybody who is interested in continuing this conversation, please stay on. But those that I appreciate do have to get off for other reasons. Thank you very much for being here this evening. It is always a pleasure. And again, beautiful sharing. And that's how we learn together, because none of us have all the answers, but all of us do have a lot of questions. So you'll get your information on CPETs. And anything else, please direct your inquiries or whatever to me, but let's keep on going with the conversation. Jonathan. And those surveys to find out where members are just real critical, and it can be a conversation instead of a formal survey. Sometimes having one-on-one conversations, being a researcher for 30 years, having conversations with people will actually identify the nature of questions that you should be asking. So that's a way to start to qualify things when you go forward. And Jonathan's point on culture is critical. Organizations succeed, they adopt the attributes of their most successful and effective leaders. So that's the kind of person you want to be. Jonathan, any final words? Because I think people are kind of
getting off. It's past dinner time. I mean, just two things. One thing is, first, again, please reach out to me, bother me, call me, text me, email me, come to my house, knock on my door. I'm here to help.
No, I don't know about knocking on your door there.
Well, there's some people, as you probably know, who do that on a regular basis. So
yes,
I'll stand socially distanced, but I'll answer the door. Not a problem. The other thing is, I just want people to remember this too, real quick, is we call ourselves Rotary Clubs, and I don't know if I'm in love with the term club, because we're organizations. We're 501c organizations. We have, we're incorporated in the state of Virginia, and you have to sort of understand, while we can be clubs in the sense of how we connect with people, we're organizations how we operate, and that means we have to make purposeful decisions. I'm reading this book called Creative Inc. The author is the founder of Pixar. Interesting book. Pick it up if you get a chance. He had an idea. He wasn't a management guy. He was a tech guy, tech nerd who thought animation for movies is possible, and nobody believed him. But he brought the right people to the table, through multiple iterations, so a couple different companies own that thing until it's, part of Disney now, multi, billion-dollar company based on somebody believing in the idea, but more importantly, creating a culture that valued everybody that walked through that door and valued what they brought to the table and how they communicated, but also knew he had to bring in the right people. That's where it starts. You do all those things, you don't need to hear from me anymore. You'll be successful in your clubs, getting people in there. Value other people, value the strengths they bring to the table, and get the hell out of their way and let them do something great.
As I've often said, being a leader sometimes is just opening the door and letting the rest of the team go through. Any other question for the evening? If not, thank you very much. Our next Zoom meeting is February 2nd. Have a good evening. Have a good week. Mr. Jonathan, as always, thank you. Good night, everybody.
All right.